Hello everyone. Today we are going to study everything about one of the world's longest continuing military and political conflict, that is Israel-Palestine conflict. Before going into the detail, we need to have some basic insights about Israel, Gaza and West Bank. So, let's first start with Israel. Israel is a country in West Asia. It is bordered by Lebanon to the north, by Syria to the northeast, by Jordan to the east, by Red Sea to the south, by Egypt to the southwest, by Mediterranean Sea to the west, and by the Palestinian territories, West Bank along the east and Gaza Strip along the southwest. Tel Aviv is the financial, economic, and technological center of the country. However, Jerusalem is the capital of Israel and it is unrecognized internationally. The official language of Israel is Hebrew and the ethnic groups which are staying there includes 73% Jewish, 21% Arabs and 6% are others. Population of Israel as per the 2023 estimates is 98.12 lakh and the GDP of Israel is 537 billion US dollars. So now we shall study about the Palestinian territories in detail. As we have seen the West Bank and the Gaza Strip in the previous slide, now we shall study in depth about these. West Bank is here. It is bordered by Jordan. West Bank is bordered by Jordan to the east and there is Dead Sea. As you can see in this map, there is Dead Sea. This is the enlarged map of West Bank. This is Dead Sea between West Bank and Jordan. And Gaza Strip, this is the Gaza Strip. So now we shall see that Gaza Strip is having an area of about 365 kilometers square and the major cities of the Gaza included Rafah, Khan Yunis, Deir el-Balah, Gaza City and the Gaza North. As you can see that on the top of Gaza there is Erez border crossing between Gaza Strip and Israel, and in the south there is Kerem Shalom crossing from where the goods are transferred to and fro from Israel. And here there is Rafah border crossing from where the people and goods to and from Egypt enters the Gaza Strip. And Gaza's major river is Wadi Gaza and population of Gaza. This is as per 2022 estimate. It is about 23 lakh and the official language of Gaza is Arabic. Major religion of Gaza is 99% Sunni Islam and less than 1% Christians are staying there, and Gaza is presently administered by Hamas, and we have studied that since July 2007 Gaza Strip is being administered by Hamas. And coming to the West Bank, it is having an area of 5655, that is 5655 kilometers square, and major city of West Bank, as you can see in the north there is Jenin and below that there is Nablus, below that Ramallah. It is a very famous city of West Bank. Next is the Jerusalem. East Jerusalem is part of West Bank. Next is Bethlehem and next is Hebron. So these are the major cities of West Bank. And the population as per 2021 estimate is 29.49 lakh. Official language of West Bank is Arabic and Hebrew. Here there are Sunni Muslims of around 80 to 85%, 12 to 14% Jewish, and the remaining are Christians and others. And as you can see the difference, West Bank is having Jewish people also, but Gaza Strip, in the Gaza Strip 99% people are Sunni Islamist. And Coming to the West Bank, it is administered partially by the Palestinian National Authority. So this was all about West Bank and the Gaza Strip. So before going into the detail of this conflict, we need to understand how Israel is originated and what is the background of the Israel-Palestine conflict. You know, Britain took control over the area which is known as Palestine following the defeat of Ottoman Empire in World War I. This land was inhabited by Jewish minority and Arab majority and many other small ethnic groups. Tension between these two major groups grew in the late 19th and early 20th centuries when Zionists sought to establish a Jewish homeland in the Ottoman-controlled Palestine. An international community gave this task to resolve this problem to Britain. Accordingly, Balfour Declaration of 1917 was made by the then Foreign Secretary of Britain. This declaration was enshrined in the British Mandate over Palestine and it was endorsed by the League of Nations in 1922. Palestinian Arabs, however, opposed this move. That's why between 1920s and 40s, number of Jews arriving there grew. Many were fleeing persecution in Europe, especially from the Nazi Holocaust in World War II. In 1947, finally the UN voted for Palestine to be split into two parts, that is, a separate Jewish and Arab states, with Jerusalem becoming the international city. This plan was very well accepted by the Jewish leaders but rejected by the Arab side and it was never ever implemented. So now let's study the timeline of the Israel-Palestine conflict. And first we'll study the period from 1917 to 1964. As we have studied earlier, in 1917, Balfour Declaration was signed by the then Britain Foreign Secretary, and according to this declaration, the British government endorsed its support for a Jewish homeland in Palestine, and this declaration was very well supported by the Jewish people, but it was truly rejected by the Arab people and it led to large-scale influx of Jewish immigrants into the region. Next come the 1947 UN Partition Plan or the two-state solution. It was known as Resolution 181. British withdrew from Palestine in 1948 and it left the responsibility for the UN for resolving this conflict. Finally, UN provided a partition plan to partition the Palestine into Jewish and Arab states. However, Arab leadership rejected it. Next comes the 1948 First Arab-Israeli War. Israel declared its independence in 1948. It prompted the surrounding Arab states to attack. Arab states including Jordan, Syria, Egypt, Iraq and Lebanon, they attacked on Israel. However, the war resulted in Israeli victory. Next comes the 1949 Armistice Agreement, which was signed between the Arab states and the Israel. According to this agreement, the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, as we have studied earlier about Gaza Strip and West Bank, they were occupied by Egypt and Jordan respectively. Jordan also annexed East Jerusalem, while Israel administered West Jerusalem. Jerusalem is still a point of contention between Israel and Jordan. Next comes the 1956 Suez Canal crisis. This is known as Second Arab-Israeli War. What happened was Israel and followed by France and UK, they launched a military attack against Egypt over nationalization of the Suez Canal. During this period, Israel also captured the Sinai Peninsula and Gaza Strip, which was under control of Egypt earlier, but Israel has to withdraw under international pressure from UN, US and Soviet Union in 1957. It was the Suez Canal crisis that led to the deployment of UNEF, that is United Nations Emergency Force, in Egypt, and it was the first UN peacekeeping force. Next comes the period of 1964, when PLO, that is Palestine Liberation Organization, was formed. Its main goal was to liberate Palestine from the clutches of Jewish and Israeli domination. Now, we shall study the period from 1967 to 1995. Let's see what happened during this period. As I have told you in the earlier slides, that first Arab-Israeli war took place in 1948, followed by second war in 1956. Now comes the third war of 1967, which was also known as Six-Day War. After years of Egyptian-aided Fedayeen attack stemming from Gaza Strips and other neighboring Arab states, Israel launched a strike against Egypt. After the end of the war, Israel had seized West Bank and East Jerusalem from Jordan, Sinai Peninsula and Gaza Strip from Egypt, and Golan Heights from Syria. In the aftermath of this conflict, Egypt closed the Suez Canal until 1975. This led to the 1970s energy crisis as well as the 1973 oil crisis. This happened because of the impact of oil deliveries coming to the Middle East through this Suez Canal. Suez Canal was very important for the oil deliveries. Next comes in the series is the 1973 Yom Kippur War, or the Ramadan War, or the October War. This was also known as the Fourth Arab-Israeli War. You know, this war took place on a very pious day for Jewish people, that is the Yom Kippur Day, or the Day of Atonement. What happened was a collision of Arab forces consisting of mainly Egypt and Syria. They launched a surprise attack against Israel. However, this war concluded with the Israeli victory. Next comes the 1978 peace accords, which was known as Camp David Accord, or the framework of peace in the Middle East. It was the Egypt-Israel peace treaty. This was the first ever peace treaty between Israel and any of the Arab state, and this was brokered by US. Next in the series is the 1987 period. During this period, Hamas was founded. The war which is currently taking place, that is between Hamas and the Israel. So Hamas was founded in 1987. It has its roots in the Palestinian branch of Muslim Brotherhood, and it was declared as a terrorist organization by many countries, including US, UK, as well as EU. Next comes the 1987 to 1993 period, and this was the period of first Palestinian uprising. It was a series of violent protests which was carried over by the Palestinian people over the Israeli occupation of West Bank and Gaza Strips. Next in the series come the 1993 to 1995 period, when Oslo Accords were signed. Oslo Accords were brokered by US, and Oslo I Accord was signed in 1993 in Washington DC. It was a peace process wherein it was a very important peace process wherein Israel and PLO, that is the Palestinian Liberation Organization, they agree to officially recognize each other and shun the use of any further use of violence. Next comes the 1995 Oslo II Accord, which was also known as Taba Agreement, since it was signed in Taba, Egypt. It was an interim agreement on West Bank and the Gaza Strip. So now let's unfold the period from 2000 to 2020. In 2000, a peace summit between Israel and Palestine, which was brokered by US, took place, which was also known as the Camp David Summit. But this summit failed to reach any agreement, and it led to the Second Palestinian Uprising. Second Palestinian Uprising took place during the period from 2000 to 2005. It happened when Israeli PM visited the Al-Aqsa Mosque. It is a very famous mosque in the city of Jerusalem. So when he visited there, the Second Palestinian Uprising took place. Next in the series comes the Arab Peace Initiative. It was led by Saudi Arab. That's why it is known as Saudi Initiative also. So it was a proposal to end the Arab-Israeli conflict. It was endorsed by Arab League during 2002, 2007, 2017 also. Palestinian Authority embraced this initiative. Hamas was deeply divided on it. However, the Israeli government rejected it totally. In 2006, Hamas won the Palestinian legislative elections and it forcibly took control of the Gaza Strip in 2007. It led to tensions between Hamas and the Fatah. However, the Fatah retained control over the West Bank, whereas the Hamas took control over the Gaza Strip. Next comes the series of major conflicts which took place between Israel and Hamas from 2008 to 2014, which included Operation Cast Lead, Operation Pillar of Defense, Operation Protective Edge. So many conflicts took place during this period. In 2017, finally, US recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital, and it also moved its embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And finally, in 2020, Abraham Accords, that were very famous accord, it was mediated by US. It was an attempt again to normalize the relation between Israel and the Arab states, mainly UAE and Bahrain, later Sudan and Morocco. They also signed this accord. So now let's study about the ongoing Israel-Hamas war 2023. Hamas launched a surprise attack on Israel by launching Operation Al-Aqsa Flood on 7th October 2023 by firing more than 5,000 rockets in Israel. Israel, in retaliation, launched Operation Swords of Iron and declared a state of war. Israeli airstrikes have hit many places including Al-Maghzi refugee camp, Al-Ahli Arabi Baptist Hospital, Jabalia refugee camp, Al-Shifa Hospital, Indonesian hospital in Gaza. It has killed and wounded thousands of people. After the airstrike, Israel has started ground attacks into Gaza by surrounding it from different sides. Hamas, in retaliation, has built an elaborate network of tunnels underneath Gaza to escape and prepare them to fight. Approximately 1,300 tunnels of around 500-kilometer length has been built by Hamas. So, the war between Israel and Hamas has turned into a tunnel warfare. Even Hamas has taken hostages into the tunnel to rebel the Israeli forces from destroying the tunnels. And more than that, this war has engulfed other areas of the region, including Lebanese Shia militant Islamist group Hezbollah, Iran-backed Houthi militants of Yemen, Iraqi militants, etc. So now we shall see who is supporting Israel in the current conflict and who does not. That is, who is supporting Hamas and who is supporting Israel. Countries like France, Germany, Italy, UK and US, they have expressed their joint support and solidarity with Israel, and they have condemned Hamas and its gruesome act of terrorism. Even Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi also said that the country is standing firmly with Israel in this difficult hour, and it has condemned terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. However, countries like Iran, Saudi Arab, Afghanistan, Iraq, Yemen, Qatar, Lebanon, that is, most of the Arab states, they have expressed their solidarity with the Hamas. You know, even the Iran's top authority, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has said that we kiss the hands of those who planned this attack on Zionist regime. It was his words. So these countries are supporting Hamas completely. So now we shall study the impact of Israel-Hamas war on India. As we already know that India is a major importer of crude oil, and higher oil prices may lead to an increase in the cost of oil imports. International crude oil prices may also rise significantly if Iran, which is a major supporter of Hamas, joins the war, with major oil producers like Saudi Arabia and Russia announcing oil supply cuts of a combined 1.3 million barrels per day till the end of this year. The economy globally already faces an oil market deficit. Now, with prices of oil hovering over $90 per barrel mark, the escalation of the conflict towards other Middle Eastern oil producers is very concerning. So, India may see a higher import bill, wider current account deficit, weaker Indian rupee, higher fiscal deficit, and inflationary pressures if the international crude oil prices remains elevated due to this war and due to the geopolitical tensions globally over a long period of time. So now let's study the current status of Israel-Hamas war 2023. Qatar is mediating for a truce agreement between Israel and Hamas. This deal required the efforts of several nations including US, Qatar and Egypt. A 4-day pause in fighting began in Gaza as part of the agreement between Hamas and Israel. Hamas is expected to release 50 Israeli captives over the 4-day period, while Israel is releasing 150 Palestinian detainees. Israeli officials, however, have retreated that fighting would resume after the pause, with Prime Minister Netanyahu saying that the war would not stop until all of Israel's aims have been accomplished, including the release of all the captives and eradication of Hamas. So, how this war will end is still very uncertain. So, we must wait and watch by remembering that uncertainty is the refuge of hope. Thank you, one and all.